Thank you, Benjamin. Now, for many, this weekend is about World Diabetes Day. To those affected, this inadvertently refers also to sugar intake. But did you realize even among the dental health community, there is rising concern about how much sugar affects one's dental health? To help us appreciate this, we do have Dr. Trevor Kwagala, who is the Secretary General of the Uganda Dental Association. Good evening to you, Doctor, and welcome.
Good evening, Mildred. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Let us start by talking about the impact of sugar on the dental health. How serious is this?
I think sugar is one of the biggest health concerns all across the table. Sugar affects everything from, it's World Diabetes Day. We know sugar and diabetes, we know sugar and NCDs, obesity and everything. But then it comes to teeth, because every time you're consuming sugar, it's going through your mouth. So your teeth are the ones that are like the gateway to all those problems, and they suffer the brunt of the force of sugar. And a lot of people will think it's just about cavities, holes in their teeth. But sugar does much, much more. When we go into understanding what it does to our immune system, then we understand that it's actually affecting our gum as well. Okay, so sugar is that area where we need to tackle when we talk about dental health. We can go and do all these outreaches and we give people treatment and everything. We are just putting a band-aid on it. What we really need is to tackle it from the source.
Okay. And
in a country like Uganda, where sugar is very prevalent, it means the problem is very, very large. Our colleagues in India, we've been talking with them, and they have enacted policies against sugar, because while we think we have a sugar problem, the Indians have a much bigger sugar problem. Much of their diet has sugar in it, and so the level of dental disease that they have faced is much higher.
Okay. And
for that reason, they have had to enact policies to fight it at the source, at the sugar source.
Okay. Before we get into the policies, are there particular types of sugars or foods that are more harmful to one's dental health?
Interestingly, if someone's diet is full of fruits, for example, natural sugars, we do not find that those are really harmful.
Okay.
The problem comes with processed sugars. And when you talk about processed sugars, think about confectionery. When you eat a cookie, for example, it's full of processed sugar, and they're designed in such a way that they are so sticky, so you bite into it and it's going to stick onto your teeth. So now through the whole day, the sugar is just on your teeth, and then you have these tiny germs in your teeth that are using that sugar, and they're eating it and they're destroying your teeth. So processed sugars are where the problem really is. And we like to encourage parents, for example, because we know children like sweet things. We want to encourage them to give children fruits as opposed to buying them candy, to buying them cookies. Children love sugar.
Isn't this robbing them of their childhood?
I mean, we don't tell them absolutely delete it, because we know that's impossible. But we like to say, okay, give them a treat once a week. Let it be something that they've worked for, something that they appreciate. But if it's a daily thing, then dental disease comes in, and then obesity also starts to knock on the door. In fact, childhood obesity is a big problem, and we find that a lot of individuals with obesity, whether children or adults, also seem to have a kind of correlation with a very high level of gum disease. So you see, the two things are moving hand in hand.
So does that mean that excessive intake of sugar in someone's childhood can affect them in their adult life?
Absolutely, absolutely. As long as someone is consuming high amounts of sugar. You see, when they're young, the body is still growing and it's adapting. And because of this very high diet, it has to change certain parts of itself. So maybe it's going to produce a lot more fat cells to try and accommodate all the sugar that is going to be turned into fat. And so the children, from a young age, you see that they're starting to become obese. And then when they grow older, because they're already in that state, then other parts of their body fail, like their immune system fails. And when the immune system fails, then the gums are going to fail.
Okay.
Then their oral health is going to fail.
Okay.
And then their confidence fails.
That is true. And we've seen, you know, kids, even adults that have missing teeth.
Absolutely, yes. We try so much to convince parents not to take out teeth because we want to save them. We need those teeth in. The problem is sometimes a client comes in and they're so badly damaged that you can't do anything but take them out. And that's a bad thing, because if it's in a child and we're taking out a child's teeth, then their jaw is not going to grow the way we want it to grow.
Okay. And
again, they grow up and then they have problems. But you have to also think about it on the side of older people. So if as an adult, 30 years old, I have my teeth taken out, when I'm 70 and I don't have teeth, eating becomes a problem. So my health will become a problem because I can't eat a nourishing diet.
So then how can one handle challenges or related to, you know, dental health, of course, with as a result from problems associated with high sugar intake?
The first and most important thing is for people to get knowledgeable. People need to know. We try to educate people as much as we can. Outreaches, conferences, we try to educate people. It's hard. There's 44 million people here, and it's something that needs to be done repeatedly. And one of the things we educate them about, in fact, one of the most important things, is diet and toothpaste. Those two things, if done well, would be sufficient to protect someone for the long term. Of course, the third part to that triad would be very regular dental checkups, and that is where very many people fail.
Okay.
We like to encourage it at least, at the very worst, once a year. Once a year should be sufficient. Okay, but for some people it's difficult, so once every 2 years. But really, if you start it from an early age, like for your children, once a year you bring them, it becomes easier for them.
Okay, that is for the routine checkups.
Routine checkups.
And then for the adults, what time frame is ideal for?
So the time frame really doesn't change. Once a year, sometimes once every 6 months. There are conditions where someone needs to come in, let's say once every 3 months. And I'll give you an example. People who have very, very severe gum disease. These are people whose teeth are shaking. They are adults, but their teeth are shaking. He comes and he tells you, my teeth are shaking, and you touch them and they are almost coming out.
And so how do you handle situations like that? And also those that have had, you know, severe damage to their teeth, is there something, can that damage be reversed? Is there something that can be done aside from taking out the tooth?
Yes, there's always something that can be done. Luckily, we have specialists who are trained to do that. They can graft, let's say, put new gum tissue. They get tissue from elsewhere, they put it on your gum. So it's possible. It's not accessible for the majority of the population. That's the truth. It's going to be very expensive. And so for many people, if we find that they're going to lose their teeth, then we do the next best thing, which is replace, give them new teeth.
Okay. At
least that balances out the equation to a certain point.
Okay, as we wind up this conversation, everything that you are talking about really sounds very good, and you know there is hope, but this all comes at a cost.
Absolutely.
That not many Ugandans can afford.
Yes.
Yes.
Dental care, overall health care is expensive, and it's still expensive even here in Uganda. And that's why most people do not have access to dental care. Yes, we have hospitals in rural areas, but they do not have the things that are really needed to continue managing all those numbers of people.
Okay.
And so it's a good thing that we have more people who have insurance cover, because that really, in fact, health insurance cover, dental insurance cover has contributed a lot to bringing more people to learning about their dental health.
Okay.
But it's not the big solution for all. Hopefully, if we have national health insurance, then maybe we'll get more people covered, and at least we'll get them basic dental care. Okay.
Yeah. So, Doctor, what would be your closing remarks for this conversation?
I think the most important thing is people need to learn, and they need to go to those areas where they can learn. A lot of people want to learn from their phones, but it's not sufficient. See, even us, we keep learning. We have a conference coming up, and it's about learning. We're going to talk about sugar, about NCDs, these same things we're talking about. We're going to talk about toothpaste and how good it is, all those things. So learning is the most important thing.
Okay.
As a parent, you need to learn how to look after the child's teeth.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Trevor Kwagala. He is the Secretary General of the Uganda Dental Association, but also a dentist as a profession. Well, he's getting to share how you can take care of your dental health, of course, putting aside all the sugars. And not only do the sugars affect the children, but also you as an adult. So it is time for you to look out for that. Well, this conversation takes us in for a short